Hello and welcome to When They Popped. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Mary.
Now, in our heads, the 90s were 20 years ago. But in fact, I verified that 1996 was actually 30 years ago. And 1996 is also the cutoff year to be considered a millennial. So that means this year, all millennials are turning 30. And I just want to say welcome. We've been waiting for you. All you little baby millennials, welcome to the 30 plus club. How does that make you feel, Mary?
My B-day's right around the corner, and I'm not feeling that great about it, to be honest with you.
What? No. Your 30s are the new 20s. Like, it's so much better than being in your 20s.
In a lot of ways, yes, but there's other ways that I'm protesting. I doth
Just
protest.
Getting older in general?
Yes. Like aging physically, I am protesting that, but I feel like I have my wits about me more in my 30s.
I did wake up today with a weird, pain in my neck that wasn't there before.
Like weekly. That's happened every week.
And I put on lotion last night and I extended my arm too far and I was like, did I just pull a pectoral muscle putting on lotion? What's going on?
Kelsey knows way too much about my chronic back pain. It's just what is this is what we talk about.
Back support. We do need back support and we need good arch support. Listen, we may need a few extra accoutrements to live a good life, but I feel so much better in my 30s than I ever did in my 20s. So welcome, all you little baby millennials. But I saw that somewhere and it just got me thinking wow, 1996, what a time. I can't believe it was 30 years ago, not 20 years ago. And there was just so much good music that came out. So we thought we could compile what we believe are the top 10 millennial anthems of the year 1996. Now, let me start this off by saying that the number one song of 1996 was the Macarena. No hate, but we can do better than this, okay? America, we have to be better than this. There was so much amazing music that year, so we're going to do our best to spotlight what we believe to be the best of 96. So here we go. Mary, do you want to get us started?
Yes, let me start. Kicking us right off here, I wanted to talk about Wonderwall by Oasis. So first things first, the song was originally almost completely different. It was supposed to be called Wishing Stone, and the band's guitarist, Noel Gallagher, wrote it and actually planned to sing it himself, as the lead, but he ended up giving it to his brother Liam, who was the lead singer, is the lead singer of Oasis. I did not know the inner workings of the band Oasis, so this was a new little side plot for me. I'm learning new things here. But so Noel gives the song to Liam. Liam hates it. He was just not feeling the vibes. And the recording story itself is also kind of wild. Despite Liam's protests, they recorded it, and apparently he nailed the vocal in just a couple takes. And this was just something they kind of didn't really have very high expectations for it, I would say. Now, there is a story behind the story. When the song came out, Noel told the press it was written about his then girlfriend, Meg Matthews. And, the media loves that. They ran with that story, and obviously she saw it. But what's Noel going to do? Correct the record? Tell the truth? He's finally since come out and said, quote, "How do you tell your missus it's not about her once she's read it?" End quote. So apparently that was all a farce, a lie, maybe to get some brownie points with this girl at the time. Who knows? But they divorced in 2001, and that's when Noel finally came clean. He said the song was never about her. He described it as being about, quote, an imaginary friend who's going to come and save you from yourself, end quote. And I want to say I call bullshit because I feel like he's just trying to take a dig at her and be like, you know what? That song was never about you anyways.
Please.
Yeah, bullshit. So apparently neither brother has ever really loved the song. Liam has said every time he has to sing it, he wants to gag. Noel has called it the one song they're famous for around the world and said it annoys him, frankly.
I feel like this is why we always ask our guests if they hate their biggest hit, because I feel like Oasis has made us feel like all bands resent their biggest songs.
I know. That's the fear that someone's like, well, I don't really like it. But we always are so grateful when everyone's like, no, I love this song so much. We have to perform it. But yeah, Oasis, not so much. So despite being one of the most iconic songs of the 90s, Wonderwall actually never hit number 1 in the UK. In the US, it peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was actually a huge deal for a British band at the time, and it remains their only top 40 hit in America. On the alternative chart, it held the number 1 spot for 10 weeks straight, a record at that time. And with total UK sales of 3.4 million, it's the 39th best-selling song of all time in the UK. I think like the Beatles, the competition over there is pretty crazy. But finally, also, of every song released in the entire 20th century, only 2 have crossed 1 billion streams on Spotify, and that is Bohemian Rhapsody and Wonderwall. So that's it. I mean, that's major. The brothers can complain all they want, but the people have spoken. Okay, just need to clarify, technically, Oasis Wonderwall came out in late 1995, think end of October, early November, but it really started charting in 1996, so please don't come for me, because the essence of this remains, it was a huge song of 1996.
I read in an article recently that back in the mid-2000s, you'd go to a party and the Olsen twins would be there and they would only dance to Wonderwall.
It's very on brand for them.
I just love the idea of them draped in all of their heavy fabrics, dancing to Wonderwall with cigarettes hanging out of their house.
Oh my gosh, I can picture it now. What a vision.
I'm obsessed with them all these years later, but that's a great first pick. And I agree. I think it's just one of those songs that you hear it, everyone knows it, and you are brought back to the year 96.
Yeah. So what's next, Kelsey? What's your pick?
So my first pick is a one-hit wonder. It's I Love You Always Forever by Donna Lewis. This song is so just nostalgic, and every time I hear it, I am just transported back to my mom's station wagon. I just think this song is so iconic, and it was actually inspired by a novel called Love for Lydia by H.E. Bates. And the chorus, I love you always forever, near and far, closer together, is actually a quote taken directly from the book. So we're kind of doing some AP Lit while we're singing these lyrics, if you think about it. And the song was originally titled Lydia, obviously because of the inspiration text, but they changed it because the song literally never mentions a Lydia. And I think we'd all be 30 years later and be like, why is this song called Lydia? I don't get it, This was Donna Lewis's first single, and she was 36 when this song became a hit. So Mary, I have to say, your fears about getting older, hopefully this tampers that fear a little bit, because listen, your 30s are your 20s. It's never too late to try something new. You could have a hit pop song literally in a year from now.
I love that.
How inspirational is that? And this song was an immediate hit. So the executive vice president of the record label Atlantic, who had this album, his name is Andrea Gannis. He said, quote, radio stations across the country keep telling us the same thing over and over. They play it, and almost overnight, it's their most requested song. Maybe it's because things have been so dark lately in pop, and that along comes a record that everybody can sing along to. It's almost like a catharsis for a lot of people. And what's so interesting is that there's a lot happening in pop culture. In the year 96, the Olympic Games were hosted in Atlanta. And this song didn't really have a boost from appearing in a hit movie or any of these cultural events. It just really was a hit because it's just such a good song. And it was the first single to achieve over 1 million airplays in the US. So I think that just goes to show that when a song hits, it hits, and the people will know. Vice magazine has declared this song as a 90s one-hit wonder that deserves more love. And I love the way that they describe it. So here's what they say, quote, have you ever heard a song so catchy that it almost felt menacing? Donna Lewis's I Love You Always Forever can induce psychosis with its dizzyingly catchy hook. It teeters between primitive and seemingly mythical, the kind of chorus that existed for eons. But in 1996, she crafted her only hit, peaking at number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100, falling short of the infamous Macarena. Lewis leaves no doubt in her romantic flame. She will love you always, forever. End quote. I can't believe the fucking Macarena beat this song. That's all I have to say. What the hell? It's a crime. And the song continues to still have its renaissance. It's still getting its flowers. In 2016, Betty Who did a really great cover. Japanese Breakfast performed it live last year, and Donna actually came out and sang with them. And I'm incredibly jealous of everybody in the audience who got to experience that. And because it was such a great hit, Donna got the opportunity to record a song for 1997's Anastasia soundtrack at the beginning.
Oh.
We have to talk about Anastasia at some point. That song gave me nightmares, so I could never watch it all the way through.
Wait, Donna's song did, or the movie gave you nightmares?
The movie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
Did I say this song gave me nightmares?
Yes.
The song probably gave me nightmares by association because it was freaking scary.
It was intense. It was. I agree. We need to talk about someone. Like, I'd love to talk about Mulan, too.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, maybe we do like a Disney cartoon
Animated
roundup. Yeah. Animated, you're right. Sorry, it's animated, not cartoons.
They are kind of cartoony, but this was a great pick. I obviously know this song, and I hadn't heard it for a long time, so it was really nice to revisit and be transported back to those feels. I like the quote from the record executive, and I'm going to tie that back into one of my other songs about it being dark era of pop, like dark era of music, and going to like a lighter era of music. So put a pin in it. I'll be back to that. All right. Are you ready for my second one?
I'm so ready.
All right. This one is Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey. Oh my gosh. One of those songs that every single person in the world knows. But when Mariah was recording her album Daydream in 1994, she was looking for a fresh sound. And she started working with Jermaine Dupri for the first time. And she just really liked his vibe. And they worked really well together. They still work really well together. And one of the first things they created together was Always Be My Baby. The chart story on this song is insane. So right before Always Be My Baby came out, Mariah had just wrapped One Sweet Day with Boys to Men, which had set at number 1 for 16 weeks, the longest run in Billboard Hot 100 history at that time. So what did Queen MC do as a follow-up? She went straight back to number 1 with Always Be My Baby. So again, her only competition is herself. She's just beating herself over and over. It debuted at number 2, spent 4 weeks there, and then hit the top finally in May 1996, where it stayed for 2 weeks. All told, it spent 9 weeks at number 2, though, which is the 4th longest stint at that position in chart history. Between Fantasy, One Sweet Day, and Always Be My Baby, Mariah had songs from the Daydream album at number 1 for a combined 26 weeks. Still a record for any album by a female artist. So she keeps the crown. So impressive. When Always Be My Baby hit number 1 for that period of time, it became Mariah's 11th chart topper, tying her with Madonna and Whitney Houston for the most number 1s by a female artist at the time. And it was the most played song on U.S. radio of 1996. While the concept of this video and the song is so sweet, Mariah's reality at that time was not. And in her memoir, Mariah revealed that her husband, Tommy Mottola, he's that big executive from, I forget what record label, but she married him, and he had like cameras installed and listening devices installed all throughout their home. She was basically trapped. She had armed security guards that were like not necessarily meant to protect her, but more to like monitor her comings and goings. She like could not move freely within her own home. So like to that point, Mariah made a remix of Always Be My Baby with Da Brat that was produced by Jermaine Dupri. And because Mariah was literally a prisoner, her and Da Brat had to sneak out of the recording session to go to Burger King. The girls just wanted to get out, get some fast food, have some fun.
Who can blame them?
Who can blame them? But key emphasis on they literally had to sneak out. And so once the armed security guards, realized that Mariah was gone, they panicked, obviously. The prisoner was free, and they literally pulled guns on Jermaine Dupri's team. Like, where is she? Where'd she go? And they didn't know where she had gone. It was just an insane story to read. So, like, the most played song on the radio in 1996 was recorded by a woman who had to sneak out of her own house for French fries. So, like, while there's a lot of amazingness around this song, there's also probably a lot of bad memories and bad vibes for Mariah when reflecting on this era in her life.
Ugh, Mariah.
I know.
Hopefully she can look back with fondness because we all love this song and go bananas every time we hear it.
Of course.
That was a really good second pick. I mean, when you think of the 90s, you just think of Mariah. There's no way around
The queen. The queen.
Literally the queen. Well, hopefully my second pick is also the kind of song that evokes positive memories of the mid-90s, and that is Lovefool by the Cardigans. I'm just continuing on the love train. I love love songs, especially ones that are like upbeat, but also kind of sad. So this one really hits the nail on the head. I have distinct memories of listening to this song in like the early 2000s, like adjusting my butterfly clips, sucking on an Altoid sour, and like trying to look cool, but being too young to understand what any of these lyrics actually meant. I loved that it had almost a disco vibe to it, but the lyrics were so melancholy and sad. But you also can't help but like bob your head and tap your toe. More crying in the dance club, you know? I love songs that you can cry and dance to at the same time.
Multifaceted.
The range of this song. This is actually the only song I know by the Cardigans off the top of my head, and it's by far their biggest hit. But they are Swedish, so we are predispositioned to love them. This was a single from their third studio album. Again, you never know when the hit's gonna hit, so you gotta keep going. And this song got a huge boost when it was featured in the 1996 hit movie Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann. Is it Baz or Baz?
I don't know. I think either's fine.
I'm going to go with Baz Luhrmann. And this, obviously, we all know this featured Leo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. This is such a good movie, even though I was so incredibly jealous of Claire Danes throughout. I couldn't believe it. This is like Leo's prime.
He was so cute.
So cute, so adorable, and it made me understand Shakespeare. I remember watching this in 8th grade. We were reading Romeo and Juliet. We got to watch this movie once we were done with it, and I was like, oh, I get it now. So that gave a huge boost to this song, and after this movie came out, it charted internationally. It hit number 3 in Canada, number 2 on the US Billboard Hot 100 Airplay chart. Technically, it was disqualified from the Hot 100 because it wasn't commercially available in the US. I don't know. There was some loophole there. But we know Americans love this song, and it also charted in Australia. I mean, it was huge. So Nina Persson and guitarist Peter Svensson, they are band members. They wrote the song together. Peter originally envisioned the song having more of a bossa nova vibe, but their producer was like, no, we need more radio play. We got to switch it up. And that's where he was inspired to take this more disco-inspired direction with the song. And Nina has said the song is a very sad love song, and the meaning of it is quite pathetic, really, to use her own words. I mean, you're begging someone to love you. But she also said that this was one of their biggest hits, and it was the easiest to write. She said, quote, "It's a song about how it's very human to bend over backwards when it comes to getting love. The character is very calculating, aware that what they're going to get isn't real, but that it's better than nothing." Ooh, she said, "I'd rather be in a bad relationship than be alone." And Nina later said that the fame after this song that they were encountering was overwhelming. She said it freaked her out, and the commercial success of the song was just nothing that they had encountered before. And she looks back with, I think, I love when bands can admit, like, hey, we were kind of snobby about this. Like, I remember our conversation with the Click Five. They said something similar where they were like, oh, we're too cool for this. We don't want to sing songs like this. But then they're like, actually, it's a good song. So Nina said, quote, "We were kind of snobs. We felt like these things were glitzy, and we felt like, no, we're a rock band. Like, oh, we're too edgy to enjoy commercial success like this." But whatever. I'm glad they came around and they embraced it. Also, fun fact, this song has 3 music videos.
Whoa.
The one that I've seen is like Message in a Bottle vibes. This girl is like trying to find her lost long love on a desert island. The hair, the styling, I highly recommend looking this up because, ooh, it is so good.
It's a goodie. This is a great one from this era. Great pick. Okay, moving right along. Let's talk about Alanis Morissette's Ironic. I know.
I'm so glad you picked this one.
I could have picked You Ought to Know because they both came out in 96, but Ironic was the 3rd song written for Jagged Little Pill, Alanis' album. Her and producer Glenn Ballard had this process where they'd essentially write a song a day, and this is one of the songs that they wrote together. Can we talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to this song? Like, there's been a lot of debate and discussion. Is anything in this song actually ironic? You know, rain on your wedding day, a traffic jam when you're already late. technically not ironic, just unfortunate.
My
Alana's
English teacher literally like played this song. She had the lyrics printed out and we had to be like, is this actually irony or no? And every single one was no.
A big no. And Alanis has admitted as much. She said, if she realized that more than 10 people were going to hear this song, she would have changed it. I don't think she had necessarily high expectations for this song, but here's the meta twist. Let's take it to the metaverse. Some people argue the most ironic thing about ironic is that a song called Ironic contains no irony, which means the song might actually be ironic after all. So, you got to remove yourself a couple layers, but in theory, maybe she's the mastermind and it is ironic.
Coincidence and irony, I think a lot of people confuse those terms interchangeably. But true irony is when you know something that someone else doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Like they're doing something without the full knowledge of the situation.
I'm looking up the definition of ironic.
Like in Shakespeare, irony is used when someone is doing something and they don't realize, like as us, the reader, we know something that they don't.
Statements, situations, or events where there's a striking contrast between expectations and reality, or between what is said and what is meant. Interesting.
I don't agree with that. I'm thinking of dramatic irony as a theater
There's lots
kid.
of versions. Lots of versions of what being ironic. But Alanis's was not one of those versions, unless we want to look at it through the metaverse. But the numbers back up the cultural footprint. Like, Ironic peaked at number 4 on the Hot 100. It stayed on the charts for 32 weeks. It's Alanis's highest charting U.S. single ever. It hit number 1 in Canada, her home country, and remains her most streamed song on Spotify, which is more than You Ought to Know has. I was totally surprised. I thought that was like her biggest hit for sure. I love her voice on it. I love the message. We've all kind of been there when it's just like, of course, when it rains, it pours. Maybe that's how I kind of look at this song, but a good one that has to be acknowledged.
I so agree. I love Alanis Morissette. I can't believe she dated Ryan Reynolds.
I know.
And didn't she write You Ought to Know about Dave Coulier?
Yes. Confirmed.
Full House.
Yes.
That's
just crazy. Crazy.
I loved singing Alanis Morissette songs in the back of the car. I loved how angry she was.
It was a nice way to unlock the anger, and it was okay to be like an angry woman when listening to Alanis.
It was cathartic. I love Alanis then. I love Alanis now. Amazing pick. That definitely should be on the Mount Rushmore of 96 bops.
For sure.
I'm curious what you're going to think about my next pick, which is Pony by Genuine. This was Genuine's first single off his first album, and I just can't imagine a better debut for him. And what's so cool, when I dug into this, I didn't really know much about the origins of this song, but I learned that it was co-written by Genuine and Timbaland. And this song was really Timbaland's breakthrough as a producer when he popped.
I saw an interview recently he was talking about creating that sound, the wah, 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 wah. I recently saw that on my For You page. But I didn't make the leap. I thought he was just talking about the beat. Like, I didn't put together that he actually put it together. That's really cool.
So what's really fun about that is it took years for this song to come together. So he did the instrumentals in 1989.
Wow.
And then the song was written and recorded in 1994. And it still feels so relevant, so fresh. Like, this song could have come out within the last 5 years and we would have thought it was just as cool. I feel like it just has an evergreen feel to it. So I just think that speaks to the power of Timbaland and his incredible taste. It's like actually amazing. So this peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the Billboard Hot R&B Singles chart. And the impact of this song was pretty much immediate. The critics loved it from the get-go. So Billboard magazine, their critic, Larry Flick, wrote a really great review that I wanted to share with you. He said, quote, "This sex jam played out through horse riding metaphors is an even-metered gallop through lovely backing vocals and machine-generated music." Side note, the fact that it's called machine-generated music is like hilarious now because that's like the only music. And then he goes on to say, while lead vocal elements are indistinguishable from several similar jams receiving heavy play, Genuine makes up for it with enduring style and funk. added vocals run through a synthesizer provide a unique supplemental element to the bass line and act as an interesting refrain. End quote. So whatever, we're getting all technical here, but I just love that they're getting their flowers for the ingenuity, the uniqueness, using cool new production tools.
Yeah.
It's the future.
This is one of these songs that, like, I had to listen to alone. You know, like, I could not listen to this one. Came on the radio, I turned it off. I could not have it on a CD to my parents' knowledge. But
to me, it's like a lighthearted association with sex and stripping. Like, I feel like people play it in movies or TV now as like a joke. Like, people start laughing because it's meant to signify like, oh, this is supposed to be a sexy moment.
It's kind of like Hot in Here. Like, back then, Hot in Here was like, for me, like kind of scandalous. But now it's like, you know, your grandma is singing Hot in Here at the wedding, you know, like, take my hand. Like, it's not as serious anymore for whatever reason.
Right. Like, if you're in a club or a bar and this song comes on, everyone goes, oh, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it deserves a spot in this list. It's also worth noting that this song had a huge renaissance in 2012 when Magic Mike used it as part of their soundtrack. So I think maybe that's why I associate it with like jokey stuff, because it's like a bachelorette party anthem.
Yeah, for sure. It also, I feel like, had a renaissance a year or two ago when it got mixed on TikTok with Toxic. It was like Toxic Pony. But the Backstreet Boys did a dance break to like the mwomp, mwomp, mwomps during their concerts in like Europe in the late 90s. And they did like hip thrusts, and I think they like humped the floor. And I remember watching it like recently and being like, oh my God, if I had seen this when I was a child, I would have like
fainted.
I know. Oh my gosh.
We would have been a Victorian child going into a coma.
Yes, that would have been me. But since we've been speaking about the Backstreet Boys, I think it's a perfect time to get into their first single, which kind of broke them into the United States, Quit Playing Games with My Heart. I want to recall the quote from the executive you gave when talking about I Love You Always Forever. I always hear the Backstreet Boys talk about this too. You know, they had broken to Europe, but they hadn't broken into America yet. And it was like kind of this grungy time in music in America, you know, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, like we weren't ready for this kind of like pop era. And then when Quit Playing Games kind of broke through, it was like all of a sudden we were ready. We were ready for, there's something shifted in the musical soundscape, and we wanted something different. And thank God we finally did. But this song almost didn't exist, at least not the way we know it. The guys didn't want it to be, you know, their lead single. They actually wanted it to be a B-side, but the label said absolutely not. They put it on the album, and the rest is history. I love this little detail. When they originally recorded the song in Sweden, Nick was like 15 years old and literally in the throes of puberty. And he could not sing on it the way they wanted him to. And so Max Martin was actually flown to London a year later to re-record Nick's parts. And that's the version, obviously, we all know and love. But there's an original version floating around out there.
And in the original version, Brian is singing both verses. Yeah. And the newer version, obviously, Nick comes in to do the second verse. And I've heard Brian say in an interview that during the music video shoot, Nick is actually mouthing the words over Brian's verse because he hadn't recorded it yet. I don't know if that's true.
So funny.
Now when I watch this music video, I just think of Nick singing over Brian's verse, which is just hilarious. I also read that much of the studio background vocals on this song were recorded by Brian and Kevin because everyone else went out to lunch and they just wanted to get it done and finish it. The cousins are putting in the work.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. This music video, I mean, that's one of the most famous parts of this song. The music video, it was shot in Orlando because, of course, and this is when we get the rain. They're on the basketball court. They're abolitious. They're soaking wet. They're like making faces at the camera.
Did you just say abolitious?
Yes. They were abolitious. Abs were poking out. They were looking amazing, but they were so young. It's like kind of weird looking back now.
It is weird.
Oh my God, you guys are babies.
It made me uncomfortable then, obviously, because I was so young. I didn't even like the Backstreet Boys in 96 yet. They didn't come to me yet until like 98 maybe. Even when I was little, I was like, I can't, this is not for me. This is not for me.
I was just kind of like, oh my, like, whoa, who are these men? Meanwhile, Nick's 15 years old. But I don't think the boys are huge fans of the music video either. I've heard Kevin kind of publicly bemoan that this is the direction they went. Nick saying, like, this is so embarrassing. We're all beefed out. I'm like, yeah, well, the label knew what was going to get the gals' attention, and they were right. So now here's the chart story. Obviously, the song went out in Europe. First, it hit number 1 in Austria, Czech, Germany, Lithuania, Switzerland, number 2 in the UK. I technically didn't come out in the United States till 97, and even then it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, blocked by Mo Money, More Problems by the Notorious B.I.G. and Mariah Carey's Honey. So they were amidst tough competition, but it sold 2 million copies in the United States, and Rolling Stones later ranked it number 26 on their list of the greatest boy band songs of all time. I think that's respectable. This is not nearly one of my favorite Backstreet Boys songs. I rarely ever seek this song out, but I do.
Really?
Like, I don't never need to hear this song again. I don't know why, but I have respect for the song because I know how pivotal it was to bringing them over to us.
I feel like this was the song that made me I was an NSYNC fan originally, as we all know. And then someone was like, you need to check out Backstreet Boys. And I'm pretty sure this was the first song I listened to. And I immediately switched allegiances and became a Backstreet Boys fan. So if this song never happened, I don't know where I'd be. I'd be devastated.
Of course. Of course.
NSYNC is not together anymore. I can't believe you don't love Quit Playing Games. That's bananas.
It just isn't my favorite for whatever reason.
Wow. Well, because there's so many other great ones to pick from. That's
of course.
Certainly why. All right, should we get into my next pick? Is this number 4? Wow, we're cruising.
Yes.
Okay, so my 4th pick is No Diggity by Blackstreet, featuring Dr. Dre and Queen Pen. We had to talk about No Diggity because the legacy of this song is bananas, and there's actually some really interesting background. This was the first single from Blackstreet's second studio album called Another Level. And it includes samples from Bill Withers' Grandma's Hands. We all know and love Bill Withers. This song reached number 1 in the US, Iceland, New Zealand. It sold 1.6 million copies in 96. It won a Grammy for Best R&B Performance by a duo or group with vocals. But we have to talk about the accolades that this song continues to receive because it just had to be on our list. Rolling Stone included it as number 2 on their list of 50 best songs of the 90s. This list came out in 2019, by the way. So this song is standing the test of time. Rolling Stone also included it on their list of 500 best songs of all time in 2021. It was kind of towards the end of the list, but hey, it still made it in. All-time songs. Esquire ranked this song in their 50 best songs of the 90s. It placed number 32 on VH1's list of the 100 greatest songs of the 90s. It was also included in Blender's Greatest Songs Since You Were Born, and Billboard magazine ranked it number 1 in their 500 best pop songs of all time. This list came out in 2023, and this is what they had to say about it. Quote, no song sounded like it at the time, and no song has recaptured its full effect since. And I have to agree, and that is why we needed to talk about this song. It was such a huge hit, but it might surprise you to hear that nobody liked this song at first.
Oh.
So we have Teddy Riley to thank for this song. Teddy is an American producer and songwriter. We need to do an episode on Teddy alone because he's written for Michael Jackson, like Lady Gaga. He's done everything. And he's also the founder of Blackstreet and also the group's predecessor, which was a group called Guy. So Guy disbanded in 1992, a year after Blackstreet was founded. So Teddy was in both of those groups. I just love that he was starting his own groups to like do his own thing. So he was at a recording studio in Virginia Beach called Future Recording Studios. And there was a producer, William Skiles Stewart, there. And he was experimenting with this sample of Grandma's Hands by Bill Withers. And Teddy was like, I need this track. And he offered it to his group Guy, but they kind of passed on it. It sounded like they had just come back together after being disbanded. They never got around to recording it. And then he's like, all right, this isn't going to work out for Guy. I'm going to offer it to Blackstreet, my other group. And he's trying to convince his fellow band members that they need this song. And Teddy said it was such a hard sell. In a 2010 interview, he said, quote, "None of the guys like No Diggity. None of them. They would even say it. That's why I'm singing the first verse. You know how they say they push the little one out there to see if it tastes good and see if he would get egged? Well, they pushed me out there and it became a hit. And now they wish they were singing the first verse so they could have the notoriety like me. So they trust what I'm saying." So I love that he trusted his gut on this one. I mean, what a great I told you so moment for Teddy. There's some additional lore about this song also. So after the song was released, Tupac and Death Row responded with a diss track called Toss It Up. And this was aimed at Dr. Dre. We know Tupac and Dre had beef. And Tupac included a sample of No Diggity on his song. But obviously they were forced to replace that after Blackstreet sent the label a cease and desist. And they're like, you cannot distribute this song. But if you listen to Toss It Up now, you can still hear the influence. Like the impact was made. Like Tupac was clever. Like
Hell yeah, he was.
The impact was still like it landed. This song is amazing. It still sounds just as fresh as it did in 96. We had to talk about it.
We have to. I loved that song. It was so unique. I liked the beginning beats. It sounded like they were like vocals, you know, like, like
that's the Bill Withers.
Yes. I loved that. And I loved just his voice, like shouting it down. It was just really good. So unique.
Oh my God, I forgot to mention you saying that just made me think this was in Pitch Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
They did
It's impact.
Pitch Perfect. It's still relevant today.
Literally. Well, I love the range of your picks. That is such a good song. I'm going to do my final one, and that is No Doubt's Don't Speak. This is such a good song. And believe it or not, Don't Speak was not originally a breakup song. Gwen wrote it with her brother Eric as a love song, and apparently it was originally sweet and upbeat. But then Tony Kanal, the band's bassist, ended their 7-year relationship. And so Gwen went into the garage with Eric and rewrote the whole thing from scratch. Gwen has said, quote, "Tony has split up with me and I was about ready to die, and I wrote the words. It's probably the only rewrite in history that actually turned out to be the heartbeat of my entire life. I wouldn't be here without that song," end quote. So I think it's super interesting that this was originally supposed to be like a happy, upbeat song, and life impacted the tenor of that song. And I think that's what gives it so much like authenticity. I find like that the song is so haunting and harrowing, and they just do a great job of embodying probably the feelings that she was having going through that breakup. So the video is its own story. Tony, the man who the song is literally written about, is right there in the video with her. And, you know, the concept of the video was a direct commentary on what was happening to the band in real life. The media was fixating entirely on Gwen and kind of ignoring her bandmates. Now, the chart situation needs to be discussed because this is also pretty wild. Don't Speak hit number 1 on the Billboard Airplay chart and held that position for 16 non-consecutive weeks, which was a record at that time. And that record would later soon be broken in 1998 by the Goo Goo Dolls' Iris, which held it for 18 weeks. But Don't Speak still sits in second place all time. Internationally, it topped the charts in Australia, Canada, the UK, Iceland, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. And yet, it never appeared on the actual Billboard Hot 100. Not once. And this may be kind of what you were speaking about earlier, Kelsey. There were rules to land on the charts, and because the chart required a physical U.S. single release, which no doubt didn't have that for this song. And a music critic writing for Slate magazine had said that if it had been eligible, Don't Speak almost certainly would have hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It dominated radio for 4 months, it broke a record doing it, and essentially had no American chart placement to show for it. But after No Doubt performed Don't Speak on Saturday Night Live in December 1996, the album, Tragic Kingdom, shot to number 1 and stayed there for 9 weeks. So basically one TV performance, like that's how big this song was to like catapult No Doubt into the next stratosphere of fame.
I really like this song and I can appreciate it for what it is, but it was played on the radio so much Like, I never need to hear it again. I feel like it was everywhere.
Yeah, because it was everywhere. And it still wasn't number one on the charts, but it was one of those songs that was inescapable. It's definitely like top 3 No Doubt songs for me, for sure.
No Doubt really just had the 90s in a chokehold.
It's kind of crazy that they're at the Sphere. I will say I don't think their visuals are as good as Backstreet Boys, but that might be controversial.
Okay, I have a lot to say about Sphere visuals. Even though I've only ever been to Backstreet Boys at Sphere, I feel like no one else tries to maybe Grateful Dead do, or like the Eagles, because
I didn't like the Eagles. It was like signs just saying Hotel California. I'm like, cool.
I want to be transported.
Yeah,
like
I want to
in basically a planetarium. Like, bring me somewhere. I don't just want your face on the side of the screen, you know?
But I do get that because like when you're up far away, sometimes I do want to see your face. Like if you're sitting in the 300-400s, they're ants. And so like when we set up in the 300s that one night, I was really wishing like instead of putting a lyric video up for the one, that they would have at least put their faces.
The lyric video.
I'm like, why? Like there's just so much that could be done, and it's easy to criticize.
I just feel like if they're going to put the face up there, then they also have to have something else that's using the capabilities to their full extent.
For like Don't Want You Back, or like
and like the drape when they're doing their little dance.
Yeah.
I think that's so fun and cool. But yeah, I have not been impressed by the No Doubt
no
visuals either that I've seen.
Well, Kelsey, there's only one song that can perfectly encapsulate this era and wrap up this list for us.
And that's going to be Wannabe by Spice Girls. And I know we've talked about this song before, but we're going to talk about it again. This was the debut single by the Spice Girls. It was first released on June 26, 1996. It was written by the Spice Girls, Matt Rowe and Richard Stannard, for the group's debut album, Spice. Wannabe is the girl power anthem of the 90s. Its message? Chicks before dicks, okay? This is the most emblematic song of their girl power mantra. And all these years later, if this song comes on in a bar, we're going to the dance floor. Like, everyone is going to scream this song until their throats are dry, you know? Let's talk about accolades. Thankfully, this was a song that got its flowers immediately. And it actually, I think, really encouraged them to get the Spice Girls out there sooner because this single was such a huge hit before their album even came out. The song won British Single of the Year at the Brit Awards. It topped the UK singles chart for 7 weeks. It went quadruple platinum. By the end of 1996, Wannabe had topped the charts in 22 countries, including the US. And by the end of 97, it was still topping the charts in 37 countries. It just got bigger and better with time. This is the best-selling single by a girl group ever. And a 2014 study found Wannabe was the most recognizable pop song of the last 60 years among English speakers. That is an accomplishment in itself. And while Spice Girls, when we think about their legacy, they did a lot in the very short years that they were together as a group. But I think Wannabe is like their magnum opus, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Which is so funny that this song had such lasting power, such staying power, because apparently they wrote it in 30 minutes. Mel B described it as a sudden creative frenzy. And I'm going to have to agree with her. Apparently they recorded it in less than an hour. I love the footsteps in the beginning, the laugh. That's all Mel B, who we love. But the one thing that continues to come up whenever we talk about Wannabe is, what does Zigga Zigga mean? Well, apparently Mel B and Emma, Baby Spice, had the idea to come up with this like rap near the end of the song. And that's when they came up with Zigga Zigga. Mel C told Billboard in an interview that they were just being silly and having a laugh, and they were having a giggle, and they made up this silly word, Zigga Zigga, and they were all in the studio, and it came together in this song. But nobody buys that, Mel C. Like, we all want to know the real story. And a 2023 article by Marie Claire UK claims to know what Zigga Zigga actually means. So they chatted with one of Wannabe's co-writers, and he revealed that it was inspired by a saying on set: shit and cigars. So apparently the Spice Girls shared a recording studio at the time in Shoreditch with a famous musician who I guess will remain unnamed. and they decided to give him a nickname. Well, why does this guy need a nickname, and why would it be Shit and Cigars? Apparently, he hated them, the Spice Girls, this guy hated them for encroaching on what he considered, quote, his turf, which was boy bands and girl bands. And he had, quote, this nasty habit of taking a dump while smoking a cigar. So we took to referring to him as Shit and Cigars. So Shit and Cigars, zigga zigga. But it sound like nothing. I don't know. But we all know, when you have a pet name for your dog and it turns into something completely different over time, maybe that's what happened here. And the theory is that the girls were using this as this statement against this sexist figureheads in the music industry to fight back. So I kind of love that. If it's true, I want to know who Shit and Cigars this man really is. And I love that the girls kind of kept it a wink between them, this fun little inside joke in one of the most famous songs of all time.
What a fun story. And what an incredible list.
I know. This really put me down. I was listening to Matchbox 20, and there were some songs on here that I wanted to include, but I just couldn't, like Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah.
There's just so many amazing songs. Follow You Down by Gin Blossoms. There's so many great songs that came out this year that we don't really talk about them. So thank you for this opportunity to go back to 1996. Welcome to your 30s, to our young little baby millennials. And in doing this exercise, I also learned that Titanic came out in 1997. So Titanic is technically Gen Z.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
A baby.
I can't believe Titanic is Gen Z though. Like that is like our I claim
that's
it.
crazy. That's crazy.
I claim Titanic as a millennial.
As we should.
As we should. And you know that I would have had Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On this list, but technically that was 97. So maybe next year we'll do a look back. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you all so much. Make sure to rate us, give us 5 stars, leave us a review. We might even read it on the pod. And make sure to check out our Patreon and our TikTok and Instagram at When They Popped Pod. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.